What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? What if I heard? What if I gave? What if my hand reached out to everything with love? What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within His Spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. And I know the first step begins within me. What if I felt perfectly whole? What if my heart opened to everything with love? What if I knew only the truth? What if my mind accepted everything with love? What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within His Spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. Oh, Mother, Father, Spirit, guide us from above. Our sons and daughters look to us to show them love. Come, sisters, brothers, let's hold hands and sing as one, that we will be what we've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within His Spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? Love. What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? What if I did? What if I said? What if I looked around at everything with love? What if I heard? What if I gave? What if my hand reached out to everything with love? What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within His Spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. And I know the first step begins within me. What if I felt perfectly whole? What if my heart opened everything with love? What if I knew only the truth? What if my mind accepted everything with love? What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. Oh, Mother, Father, Spirit, guide us from above. Our sons and daughters look to us to show them love. Come, sisters, brothers, let's hold hands and sing as one, that we will be what we've come here to be. Yes, we're gonna be what we've come here to be. What if I'm a beacon of that light that shines in all of us? And what if I'm the only guide some will see? Then I must recognize within the spirit, and it's only love. And I must be what I've come.
Begin Within Ministries proudly presents Sofa Sundays with your hosts, Reverend Dr. Michelle Izuku and Reverend Jeannie Sovereigns. Sundays at 11:11 a.m. Arizona time and rebroadcasts on Mondays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Come join us on the sofa. Begin Within Ministries proudly presents Sofa Sundays with your hosts, Reverend Dr. Michelle Izuku and Reverend Jeannie Sovereigns. Sundays at 11:11 a.m. Arizona time and rebroadcasts on Mondays at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. Come join us on the sofa every Sunday morning. Sofa Sundays with Michelle and Jeannie. Learn more at www.beginwithinministries.com. In partnership with New Thought Media Network.
Oh, hello.
Are we on? Let's see. Anybody? Yeah, we're waiting to see. There we go.
There we go.
All right. There we go. Thank you, sir. Each time a little different. All right. Well, welcome. Welcome to Sofa Sundays. And I am Reverend Jeannie Sovereigns. And this is newly minted Sue Powell, religious science practitioner. Yay! I'm so excited. And you guys get to do the walk next week Saturday.
Right.
Yeah,
You know,
so
stoles.
you get, I can't remember. Reverend Missy told me what that's called when you get stoled, but I can't recall the name of it. But I definitely am so excited for it. I'm going to be in New Mexico next week, so I won't be there for it, but my heart and spirit will be there.
It is being streamed if you happen to be
There you
available at
There you go.
3 o'clock Arizona time.
Right? So I might be. That's
There you
an
go.
awesome experience there, because nothing is more exciting than working for someone. Because, you know, as a religious science practitioner, we work 2 years plus. Yeah,
Yes.
2+ years to receive that soul, to be there, to hold the high watch, to be there, to hold in prayer, and to help others know the truth about themselves. And in order to get there, we have to learn the truth about ourselves. And that is the work that really creates some, I remember having quite a few moments during practitioner training, especially the second year, of being like, whoa, do I really want to know this about me?
Yes, there's a meme. It has somebody pulling this big bag that's got all these bulges on it because you can't see anything in it, and that's before practitioner training. And then the next image is things are poking out of this bag, and that's during practitioner training. And then at the bottom, the bag is empty, and you're walking hand in hand with these new friends that you have befriended during the process.
Yes.
So there is a journey for sure.
Yes, and you definitely build a tribe at that point of knowing the truth about yourself and of others, and then having them support you in that process. I love that. So congratulations. I'm so happy for you. We're located here at the Unleash Your Life Studios, 7220 North 16th Street, Phoenix, Arizona, 85020, Building A1. The girls are on the door. And that's located between Glendale and Northern. So if you're in the area, come on down. You're never late to be on the sofa. Well, I should have asked you beforehand, because now I'm going to put you on the spot. How do you feel about praying us in?
Oh, well, I'll be happy to do that.
There you go. We'll have that.
All right, so please join me in prayer as I recognize that there is only one power, one source of everything that exists, visible and invisible, from the deepest ocean bottom to the tallest mountain peak to the galaxy the farthest away. It's vast. It's actually infinite. And it is an amazing power, an amazing love. It's a love that heals, a love that frees. It is infinite good. The divine givingness of anything and everything at the exact right time. And it's a peace beyond our human understanding. It's a peace that is undisturbed. And it's here right now. It's everywhere. There's nowhere not. So I know this love, this good peace is within me. I am created by the one as an individual, this unique expression of itself. And this love, this good, this peace expresses in, through, and as me. And as I know that for myself, I know that for everyone within the sound of my voice. Every person is love, infinite good, and peace. And so I speak my word today, acknowledging the fullest and freest expression of these qualities through every creation of the one. I know that this love and good and peace expresses in this Sofa Sunday today, and that everyone tuning in gets exactly what is needed to reveal that within themselves, and to claim that, and to own that, and to act from that. And so I'm very grateful for this love and good peace expressing in this beautiful service, this beautiful conversation between Reverend Jeannie and myself today. And so I release my word into the action of the universal law, knowing it is done. The universe always says yes. And so I simply allow that to be. And so it is.
And so it is. All right. Lovely. Thank you. So, well, sorry there's no cards. We forgot it was a new month and didn't change out the cards. So today's is I embrace the freedom of being my true self. So I kind of touched a little bit on how that comes about, right? As soon as I read that one, I was like, oh, authenticity, which is something that the SOFA was founded on. Like, we knew that we wanted to be authentically ourselves and that everybody might not agree with that, and that needed to be okay, right? You know, because I'm not a taco. Not everybody's going to love me. I get it. You know, so like to really like embrace what that is. And one of the things I realized is that, you know, I traded fitting in for the freedom to be myself, to be authentic, to, you know, be fully unapologetically me. And that took a long time. But, you know, I think that as we get older, we care less about other people's opinions. You know, it's like, or maybe I just hear less of them. I don't know. You know, it's, you know, I don't participate in a lot of conversation where people are like, you know, so-and-so said. No, I don't know so-and-so, and I don't care what they said. Yeah. Yeah. So,
well, I think it's key when you said for it to be okay to be what somebody else may want you to be. Mm-hmm. Like, it's okay that you're not a taco.
Right.
And just right. that idea of being okay with who you really are, rather than trying to fit in, like
yes.
you're talking about. Because how can you fit in?
Great. Yeah, I mean, you know, as soon as I hear the words fit in, I think of high school, mm-hmm. right? Or any time period, like even new job, you know, you're trying to be in the, like, wear what they wear, say what they say, you know, and I think of new jobs as like, because, or even like a new church or a new community, and we were talking about yoga a little bit, when there's some kind of vernacular that is specific to a community, we try to like learn it, to fit in, to be part of, and I don't begrudge that. I actually like that, where you have your secret language, right? I like that part of fitting in, to be like, oh, do you know the secret? But there's that part that, which I try to remember as in science of mind, where it excludes people because they don't know the secret language. They, you know, when we go and say, would you like a treatment? Right? People are like, what are you treating? What's a treatment?
I'm not sick.
I'm not sick, you know. Exactly. It's like, you're not a doctor, you know. It's like, what are you treating for? So to be more inclusive in our language, in our encouragement, our welcoming, as humans, but especially as people that are here to minister to others. You know, and having different aspects to that part. Like, I love that you have so many things that you are trained in, right? We met because you are the Labyrinth facilitator at New Vision Center when they have the World Labyrinth Day, and so we hooked up 2 years ago, and then you got me involved with more of the World Labyrinth Day stuff, because everybody knows I love labyrinths. I want a labyrinth. When we have a building, I want us to have a actually, I don't care if we have a building, can we just have a labyrinth? Yeah.
We can make it on a great big tarp and
that's right.
With us.
And we could take it with us, right? Yeah, those tarps are nice. Yeah, we might want to invest in one of those. that, that type of meditation. And then prior to Sofa Sunday starting, we were talking about yoga and meditation. So you really have a good sleep practice. I was going to say, you're a good sleeper. You're a sleepy gal. But it sounds like that if I were to describe you, and I mean, sitting here with you, your energy is so grounding, so calming. And that's good for me because I'm all over the gal, so really? I know, it's hard to believe. But you have a very calming, grounding energy. And I had noticed that, 2 years ago as we're walking the labyrinth and participating in that, you hold a center that is a very sacred container, a very beautiful space to be. Yes, and I'm so glad you said yes to coming on the sofa.
I'm delighted to be here. I was like, yes, sure. Like, what other answer is there? Yeah, I loved your energy when you first wanted to volunteer for the labyrinth. The office sent me a note and said, this lady is interested. If you need any help, contact her. And I'm thinking, well, we can always use help, but let's see, how can I have this lady I don't know help? And so we created the idea of doing the finger labyrinth.
Yes.
For people who might not have the interest or ability to walk the kind of uneven outdoor labyrinth. And
I think I was one of those people at that time.
Yes. And so it was just your enthusiasm for absolutely I can do that, and you bring that energy. Can do. I call it the can do.
Can do. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, okay, I'm not quite sure how we're going to do this, but we're going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I love when I met you.
Oh, wonderful. Yeah, we definitely had a great time period. And I hope we do this many more years to come together. Yes, so World Labyrinth Day, usually in May.
First Saturday
in May.
First Saturday, yeah. All around the world.
Yes.
Literally.
Yes, we do it earlier.
Correct.
It's usually 1 at 1,
yeah.
right?
Walk as one at 1 p.m. local time. So that creates this rolling wave of peace all around the globe. And 1 o'clock in Phoenix, Arizona on the first Saturday in May is a little warm.
Even 9 o'clock in Phoenix, Arizona, and the first is a little warm.
So we were walking with people in Brazil.
Yes.
So we just we walked earlier.
We picked a 1 o'clock that was cooler for us.
Exactly.
Yes.
Rio de Janeiro and what are some of the other towns in Brazil? Anyway.
Right.
That's who we thought about. But it's a beautiful practice because I think you can really sense this connectedness, that we are all connected. But when you have a practice like that and realize there are thousands of people doing exactly the same thing, connecting to that peace at the core, it just amplifies the presence, the feeling sense.
And I have enjoyed, especially as you were giving the 4 hours of it, which I'm going to let you go through, but going to that release part and, getting back to the freedom of being my true self. I think there are so many times in this life, and we were talking about this earlier too, right, where we are carrying stuff that we no longer need to carry. We have things that are occupying our mind, our heart, ourselves, our body system, our conversations with others that are no longer necessary. They're not good for us, and they're cutting us off from the spirit of our true self. And I know this last labyrinth walk, when I did it, the thing that I really received was coming out and away from that. I felt that release of that, whatever I had been. And there's the beautiful thing. talking about the labyrinth too, right? I didn't need to know what it was.
Exactly.
I was able to take that off and leave it and just say, and now I'm done with you. Thank you. Whatever you were there for me for, thank you. And now.
Yeah, it's amazing. It has always amazed me. And I say amazed now, I just trust it. But in the beginning of my days of walking labyrinths, the insights, the opening, the freedom that I experienced on a walk, I couldn't write the script. It's like, how did the labyrinth do that? Like, I just felt lighter and brighter, and I could take the next step, whatever that was, because I wasn't carrying this burden that was keeping me from really expressing my true self.
Right.
And that's the practice of the labyrinth, because there's a special energy within a labyrinth that it's the pattern of a labyrinth just sets the tone to draw you into that deeper work. Like, you just start walking mindfully and you get drawn into it. You don't have to do a whole bunch of preparation. I mean, there is a little bit that is certainly helpful, but let the labyrinth do its thing.
Yes.
And I remember one of the early times of walking it, I had a lot of turmoil going on in my life, both personally and professionally. So I was a wound up stress bomb.
Yes, I've been that person. I understand. Yeah.
And I was either in tears or angry. That was kind of my one or the other. And I really had no good idea of how the heck am I going to get out of this mess. And I walked a labyrinth one day just with the intention for guidance. Just show me a little glimpse of how I can move forward. So I'm walking the labyrinth, and the first R when you're walking in is releasing. And so I just was breathing and allowing myself just to release this anger, this fear about what was going to happen. And it just kind of happened. And when you get to the center, it's all about receiving. So you're just simply open because you've gone through this letting go of whatever you've been able to let go of. And it's not really a conscious thing. It's just an experience of something.
Energetic.
Yeah. And so in the center, I closed my eyes and I was just breathing and feeling myself grounded, my feet on the ground in the center. And I started hearing lyrics to a song. And I'm not really musical. I mean, I like music, but it's not my go-to thing. I don't have it playing all the time where I am. And the lyrics of the song was a song I was familiar with. I hadn't heard in a while. And it said, the rain is gone. I can see clearly now. And in that moment, I still get goosebumps when I tell the story, but in that moment, I could feel that sense of not being confused, of seeing clearly. I didn't have a specific go do, 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll get out of this mess, but just that felt sense of knowingness within myself that I can move forward. So then I start walking the same path that I came in, walking it back out, and that's return renewed is what I like to call it. And I'm just feeling lighter and brighter, and I'm almost skipping my way out of the labyrinth. And along that path, I hear more words to that song. It's a bright, bright, sunshiny day. And I was like, yes, that's what I want. I want that lightness and brightness. And then when I completed the walk, the last R is reflect. And so I just sat down and made some notes for myself that really helped me to integrate what I had just experienced.
Right.
And I regularly have some type of experience like that. It might not hear songs, but there's some opening that happens whether I walk it alone, because you can walk it alone, or with a group. And there's something special about both.
Either way, right?
There's not one that I prefer.
I just, when you're talking about walking the group this last time, because nobody came for fingers, so I joined the walking. And what I recall in doing that was that as I was going in, I was stepping aside for those coming out. And I remember thinking in my reflection afterwards how so many times I put myself on the other side, allowing for someone else to have their way, whatever it might be. And that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. It was just something I had noticed.
It's a pattern.
Right. And I had noticed doing that going in. But coming out, because there were so few of us and no one was coming in, there was no reason to step aside for my, moving forward into things. I didn't have to allow someone else and then I could go. I could just go. And that was such, while small, it was such a big, mind-blowing thing for me, because I did see that pattern throughout my life. And that now, having done that labyrinth and feeling that now it was about me, and it wasn't about stepping on someone else. There was no one in my way for that to be a thing. That Spirit had made that an easy, smooth transition for me. And I trusted that. Yeah. And so much like you, it was like, anytime I've walked a labyrinth, I do receive something of just a gold nugget of what it is that I need to do next. And I love how you said that you were in turmoil, right? And prior to labyrinth walking as a thing, and back when all my joints worked in a well-oiled machinery, I used to hike for the same reasons. I would hike and be out in nature, and it was just me and Source, right? It was me and the God energy, and so many things. If I started a hike that with some turmoil, some gunk, lack of clarity, right? By the time I reached the top, I had more clarity, and then by the time I got down, I either let it go or had a solution, to move forward in my life. And so I think there's something to, Joe Dispenza talked about, and I had done a walking meditation through his program with one of our practitioners years ago, but there's something about movement in meditation that helps bring it all together, right? Our cells, our mind, I'm a coach of positive intelligence, which talks about, 10-second mindfulness that is physical, whether it's breathing in, something I hear, something I touch, something I see, 10 seconds, long enough to change that fight and flight over to that sage, calm brain. So tell me about yoga. Because I know that you have you previously taught a lot, and that you have some practices that you got into for meditation.
Right. Well, yoga started for me when I was back in my engineering job, and the turmoil, the stress. It was really a lot of stress. I was a supply chain manager.
But you didn't have an easy go-to, kick your feet upside the job, huh?
No, it was just like firefighting, whatever the latest issue was. And I was not sleeping well. I had back problems, and I was just trying, it was like that proverbial rope tied the knot at the end, and I was just hanging on. I'm like, okay, I've got to do something. And I saw an ad for a free yoga class. Now, this was in Pasadena, Texas, and this was before yoga was popular. So the ad stood out to me because I'm like, I kind of thought yoga was weird. Why in Pasadena, Texas? I mean, the home of Mickey Gilley and all of that. And I'm thinking,
do they know where they are?
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's not Pasadena, California. This is Texas. And so I thought, well, maybe it's not as weird as I think. But I still was kind of holding on to that idea. but it's a free class. So like, you know, what can I lose? So I go, and I wasn't familiar with down dog and, you know, all of the things. I just followed whatever the instructor said. But here's when I got hooked. The last pose, which if you're familiar with yoga, the last pose is Shavasana. It's where you're lying down.
My favorite.
Yeah.
Dead man.
Dead man, corpse pose, whatever you want to call it. And that was the first time in an incredible amount of time. I was holding so much stress that I could actually feel it releasing and like melting into the floor. And it was very profound. I was like, I didn't want to get up. I'm like, I don't want to go back to where I was before this. So I ended up becoming a regular student. And about a year into that, I always went on Saturday mornings because I couldn't do the evening classes. I couldn't get home in time. And about a year into it, the instructor says that she has a teacher training program. And I'm like, I don't want to learn. I'm not interested in that. So I'm like, you know, tuning out, you know, like, okay, what's the next announcement? But then I catch this little phrase and she says, you know, it's not just for people who want to teach yoga. It's for people who'd like to learn more about yoga. And I thought, now that would be me.
That's how I got into half my science and mind classes.
Exactly.
I don't want to be a minister,
but yeah, it's kind of like that, right? So I signed up for this retreat, still fully committed to, I'm just here for learning. But, you know, it was a teacher training retreat, so there were groups of 3, and, you know, we'd pair off so that, you know, I would teach you and the other person, and then you would teach me and the other person, and, you know, we'd rotate like that. So I did that just because the other 2 wanted to teach, and I'm like, well, I think I could, you know, do this good enough, especially since I know I'm not going to be judged on how well I'm doing this. And at the end of the retreat, it was a 10-day program. The instructor came to me and she said, could I put you on my substitute teacher list? And I'm like, no, I came here to learn. I've learned a lot. This is wonderful. You give me some great books to read and study, and I got exactly what I wanted. She goes, well, could I just put you, like, if I don't have someone to sub? And I already knew she had 2 subs, and I loved both of them because sometimes they did Saturday mornings. And I'm like, but you have 2 subs. Well, but, you know, sometimes they aren't available. I'm like, okay, it's got to be a last minute. If you have to close the class or, you know, cancel the class, if you're at that point, then I might be willing to
I
possibly
define my boundaries.
Exactly. So a month later, she calls me and says, can you teach my Tuesday night class? She had 2, 5:30 and a 7. And I'm like, I can't get home from work. And she just was quiet. And she said, was there any way you could teach that? And I'm like, well, you know, I could take the day off work. That'd be kind of fun, have a day off. So that's what I did. I took the day off and I practiced, you know, all the lingo, the timing, all of that stuff. You know, the cats were my students. So I went and
I would have
they're
loved
very
to
good
see
at
that
that.
class. Yeah, very good. I have stuffed animals I would have used. But
Yeah, exactly. So I taught those 2 classes. I felt like it went well. You know, people didn't get up and leave before the end of the class. And I thought, wow, that was actually fun. Like I really felt like I belonged in that position. Well, then she called me a few more times, and then there was a Thursday night. People wanted a Thursday night class, but she was already teaching Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and she didn't want to teach Thursday, which I totally get. And she said, would you be interested or open to teaching my Thursday night class? She had a second studio that was close to downtown Houston where I worked, and that's the one she was inviting me to do. And I thought, you know, if I taught those 2 classes, I would miss all of the rush hour evening traffic.
All right.
Yeah.
Great way to look at it.
Yeah. It's an interesting way. So, and I said, let me do, she said, you know, you're not committing to this forever. I said, let me try it for a month and I'll just see how that works. And there were days by Thursday of a supply chain manager role where I'm just frazzled. I mean, all I really want to do is go home, take off my suit and hose and heels and collapse.
Right.
But I committed to this. And I'm like, I'm going to do this month that I committed to. So I, change into yoga clothes, teach those classes. I had more energy after teaching 2 yoga classes than if I had gone straight home and just plopped on the sofa. And yeah, that was my reaction. It's like, this is really interesting. And I was enjoying it. So then I became her regular Thursday night instructor. And that was the beginning of my life as a yoga instructor. Yeah, the more that I taught, the more I wanted to learn. So I began to get other certifications. And that's how I really got into meditation. Because I felt like I was fairly good at the postures and being able to give people adjustments or alternative ways. But I really didn't know anything about meditation, and I really wanted that. So I did a different teacher training program in California with Ananda Yoga, Paramahansa Yogananda, that lineage, learning about meditation. And so then I felt like I was becoming a more fully rounded instructor. And I found that meditation was a practice that really connected me with that true self, with that authentic self. And, fast forward, I kept wanting to learn more, and ultimately, for the practice of meditation, landed in a Chopra health retreat in California and learned Deepak Chopra's method for meditation. And even up until that point, I knew about meditation, I guided meditation, but I didn't have my own personal practice. Like, I could help all of you meditate, but that daily practice thing that they talk about, that wasn't, I was an emergency meditator. It's like I love that. It's like,
recognition.
Right. I need to calm down, I need to find some clarity, I need to chill. Okay. Let's do one of those guided visualizations where I'm sitting at that beautiful mountain lake where there's no wind and it's a mirror reflecting all the surrounding, that kind of thing. But when I learned Deepak's practice, it's a mantra-based practice, and it was a practice that I wanted to do every day. Deepak said, he was telling us, we learned the practice, and it's like, well, how often should we do this? And he says, twice a day for 30 minutes. I'm like, okay, maybe not. And so I started my practice that way, but what I found really worked for me was once a day for 30 minutes. And I built up to it, I didn't start out at that. It's like, let's do 5 minutes and see if we can keep that going daily. And I noticed a difference. I just noticed there was more groundedness, there was more calmness, there was less reaction when stuff started going sideways. And I decided, I think other people really need to learn about this. So I started teaching that. So my teaching kind of shifted from actually teaching yoga classes with postures and all of that to teaching meditation. And then my husband and I moved a few times, and so I wasn't really established in a studio anywhere, and then COVID hit. And at that point, I was
the ultimate reset button.
Exactly.
2020.
Exactly. And I thought, how can I serve at this time? And the answer that I thought was crazy, because this was COVID, was because I had people that I had taught all in different states, and I thought, I wonder if people would meditate on Zoom. Like, that seemed like a really weird idea, right? But I sent this email out to all the people that have been in my class. Anybody interested in? Yes. When are you doing it? So that's how that started. I have an online program that I do weekly. I call it Meditation Monday. And,
wow!
It's a regular offering using Deepak's practice.
Wow. Okay, we'll have to get that information and put it in the chat, because I would love that. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah. That is something that, like 2020, I found so many offerings online during that time period that I was doing art classes from London you know,
Right.
like,
You can
like,
do anything.
because there were so many people that were like, okay, how can we help?
Right.
How can we serve? How can we be? And so now it's all activated again, right? Like it's all here. And so, yeah, I wish my like company would have stayed just online and not that all in person thing again. But you know, whatever. That's how that goes.
Some
But
things.
some
in
things
person.
we have to do in person.
Right. And, you know, I do feel doing meditation in person as a group
Mhm.
is even more deepening
Right.
than doing it on Zoom.
Oh, sure, because you get that
Because
whole
you
energy.
Right. Like
Yeah.
here.
Yeah.
Being here in person. But I think that Zoom is a good second choice.
Yes.
When being in person isn't practical or, you know, somebody from Dallas is not going to fly to Phoenix for Monday
Right.
morning meditation,
Right.
right?
Right. And you know, it's 2:00 in the morning in Australia, so she's going to watch it a little later for her. Yeah. So I enjoy so much having that opportunity, like you said, to be able to create that, whether in person or online, and that is, you know, helps with the finding the true self that you're talking about with. So I'm assuming your practitioner training came about a lot like your yoga training, like you started taking classes and then whoops, you've had enough.
Pretty
And
much,
now,
yeah, you know, it's like, well, I got to the point where, well, we were new to Science of Mind. My New Thought journey started in Unity,
okay,
at Unity of Houston
Mhm.
in Texas, and we moved from Texas to California. And there wasn't a Unity, we were in the Palm Springs area, and there wasn't a Unity center there. And the assistant minister at Unity of Houston said, oh, there's a great Science of Mind center, Center for Spiritual Living, Palm Desert. That's where you need to go. Or that, I don't think he said need, but go
Yeah.
there. And so that was my first introduction to Science of Mind. And of course, I'm going to take classes, right? I got to learn what this is. I know the Unity way, but I would like to learn more. Because Science of Mind was often mentioned within Unity.
yeah, because we're very much sister. Yeah.
Right. So I was taking classes, and when practitioner training was coming up, I was like, well, you know, I only need one more class of the prerequisites, and then I'm good to go. And if I wait, then I'm going to have to take a bunch of things over.
Mm-hmm.
So it seems like now would be a good time.
There you go.
So that's kind of how it started. And one of the things that I laugh about now is I wanted to be a practitioner, but I had never had a practitioner session. So I didn't really know what that part was about. But what I wanted was the conviction of those who prayed, whether I was in a prayer zone one-on-one, or whether I was listening to the practitioner praying in the service. Mm-hmm. There was a knowingness, a conviction that was unwavering. And I'm like, that's what I wanted.
Wow. See, I know that we're like simpatico, because that was mine too. Is that I've always had faith, right, in something higher than me, and I always felt this draw, you know, towards it. But there are times I felt so disconnected, you know, and I have gone through, like, I was raised Catholic and I became a born again, and, you know, like I told you, I went through self-realization fellowship. Like, I really tried out a lot of different things, and nothing fit for me.
There were some parts of
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then I walked into Creative Living Fellowship, and I was like, oh, you know, oh, this is what I believed before I knew what I believed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and so and I still had things to learn, like to know that I am God sounded like blasphemy. I mean,
John Lennon got in trouble for saying that.
I mean, seriously, who says this stuff, right? And it's funny because next week I'm speaking, and my topic is my favorite saying. I'm here to give God a good time as Jeannie. And so one one of my friends had asked, do you mean, something different? I was like, no, God is me. Yeah, like I'm very confident in saying that now because I understand. And you know what? Every religion I was ever in taught that. We just don't hear it.
Yeah.
God is everywhere, in, as, and through everything. Right? We are taught that God is omniscient and, everywhere. So why would we think that God is not in us and that we are not a manifestation of the divine in form? So that took me a while, but I wanted that. I wanted to know that and be okay with that, because when I heard the practitioners, I was like, yeah. And I did. I took advantage of all those free sessions that up front when in Creative Living Fellowship at the end they think if you want prayer, come up. I would run up. I was like, I take prayer for everything,
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So
It's when you find that path that's yours, it's such a authentic feeling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, okay, this works for me.
Mm-hmm.
And I think for me, the Science of Mind teachings really work. Even more so after I've spent the last 2 years studying.
Sure. Yeah. You know that. Like you go through the 2 years that practitioner training thing, and I've seen people get through it and then not become a practitioner. Like they know this isn't for me. But I mean that it's a very intense process, and I'm assuming New Vision does. It's a very intense process to find out who you are and to strip that away as excuses for not being your divine self.
Yeah, and it was Reverend Leslie Goodwin was our instructor, primary instructor. We did have one other for a term, but she called it poking the bear.
Yeah.
And that's what it really felt like.
Yes.
It's like all that stuff that you're hiding, you got your mask on and you got the stuff in the drawer that's locked closed. Well, guess what?
Yeah.
We don't do that now. And the beautiful thing about the training that we went through, first of all, there were 7 of us.
That's a nice group. Yeah.
7 of us started,
Mm-hmm.
and 7 of us completed.
Which
Wow.
is even better.
Yeah.
Yay. Good on you.
Yeah, it's typical.
I know my jewelry dealer Paula is one of them. So
oh, beautiful. Yeah, and it's typical that people will drop out because it's intense.
It is. Yeah.
The heat on the fire gets turned up, and you either decide to move through it or not.
Yeah.
And there are all kinds of scenarios that unfold with that, but
Sure.
I'm so grateful for that journey with all of the others that
Yeah.
be getting stoled on Saturday.
Right. And it creates a sisterhood. Like I said, there was 4 of us that went through, and yeah, you create because you have divulged some of your biggest secrets to these people over the years. I mean, like things that you probably haven't told other people ever. And it just that level of vulnerability is amazing.
It is, and it was that word vulnerability was a big thing for me because I had this pattern of I want to look like I have it all together all the time.
Yeah, I understand.
And it's okay not to have it all together.
Right.
It's like that's what I had to do. Have that openness, that vulnerability to share with these 6 others, plus Reverend Leslie, things that I was very uncomfortable sharing. And the love and support that was there is what made that possible.
Right.
And that's the other thing that I saw in practitioners is that there's an unconditional love. There's just a big heart that is there no matter what you're dealing with, whether it's some little pebble in your shoe that's just aggravating the heck out of you, that you just can't seem to let go of, or whether it's some major
life quake.
Right, yeah, life quake. Oh, I love
Yeah.
that. And so it's, I feel like so much has happened in 2 years, but that's just the beginning.
Yes.
Like, you don't go back to where
Right.
you were. You just keep.
Yeah, it's an expansion. Yeah. You know, for me, for practitioner training, I came to Science of Mind through 12-step recovery. So in recovery, we have sponsors, right? So we have these mentors that help us through the 12 steps. And one of the steps is to, somebody will write down all their foibles, inventory-wise, and then share it with another person, so that vulnerability. And then when I got into Science of Mind and then practitioner training, I saw being a practitioner very similar to that, as being that person that holds that space, not of judgment, not of here's how you can fix it, none of that. Just to say, look, I hear, see, and love you just who you are,
Right.
no matter what happened. And and that's what a sponsor is for, and that's what a good sponsor is for in the 12 steps. And so for me, that was this next iteration in who I was as a human. And I loved when you said, I like to have it all together, or have it pure, like I have it all together. And I still have a little bit of that happens, right? But most of the time, I'm okay with being a complete and total hot mess. And, I really am, because what I have found is that I don't have to stay in that, right? Like, I notice this, like, my hands on the stove, it's hot, it hurts, let's go, and I have this tribe. I have this group of people, and, I was sending texts the last 2 weeks. Hey guys, I'm really in pain today. Like, I can't remember that there's a divine energy that is healing everything. So can you help? And I get back, yeah, we gotcha. And it did help, and I didn't fall into my normal, I should say, self-pity and stuff like that, that I would go, why, last time it wasn't like this, I was able to be open about it instead of trying to fake it,
Push your
yeah,
way through.
or be that bull in a china shop, because I've been known to do that too, and just to be able to be vulnerable and to say, I need help, I need love, I need support, and have that. People saying, absolutely. Like, nobody said, I don't have time for you. They said, absolutely. And that's an amazing place to be. And that's why, for me, being a practitioner was something like, I want to be that for people who don't have that.
Right. And it's, being a practitioner, like, I don't want somebody to put me on a pedestal like, oh, you're a practitioner. I'm the same human, I'm the spiritual being having a human experience.
Right.
So I still have those human things going on. And what I notice now is the judgments or the chatter about why did that, do whatever, that I'm quicker to go, okay, enough. Let's take that inward and, just recognize the oneness that is there, the wholeness. Like, I don't know what's going on in that person's world. There could be a million reasons that whatever is being expressed through them is not what I would like to see, but at the core of their being, I know that they're love. I know that they're peace. I know that they're capable of expressing differently. And so when I let go sooner, so when I'm not carrying that around and getting all tensed up and wanting to punch somebody out.
See, I love that.
I can't picture that.
We all have those feelings.
I would not do that. But there's times when I feel like, I'm a golfer, so sometimes that's where I take my frustration.
Oh, there you go.
Like, kill this golf ball. This represents this situation.
Anybody have anything that they want to add? I know she's amazing, right? Like, absolutely amazing. I love that. Yes, Anne.
Well, I love the I love the aspect of learning for learning's sake and then finding the gift. And you talked about that in a couple of different ways, where like the trick is looking for the gift, even though you don't think it's possible for there to be one. And if it's and like I heard you talk about starting there, and then it opens up something completely different.
Yeah, for
Powerful.
sure. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, that's how it's been working for me.
It's a good path.
Yeah. Usually, if I have it all figured out, and it's like, okay, I'm gonna go from here to there, and step 1, step 2, step 3, somewhere about step 1/2, the plan's already scrapped. So, being able to be resilient and adaptable in uncertainty and fear is that gift of knowingness.
Yeah, resilience and adaptability. There is something that we really like embrace when, it's like, I love that line, I make plans, God laughs, plan change, right? Resilience is definitely
A goal.
Yeah.
Yoga
Yeah.
builds that.
What's that?
Yoga builds that. And the resilience.
The resilience.
The practice of leaving it on the mat. The practice of being embodied. And I love that yoga to meditation pipeline.
Yeah.
Because I took that same road too, and I went with transcendental meditation. And they went online in 2020 during that pandemic. And that was so incredible.
Oh, yeah.
Because you go from doing a little in-person touch-ins to being online with
Thousands.
all over the world, thousands of people.
That's kind of cool too.
Oh my goodness. I get chills just thinking about it. I'm like, it's goosebumps.
Yeah. Deepak Chopra, when he learned to meditate, learned transcendental meditation. That was, even though he was born in India, he didn't learn it there. He was in his practice as this very successful physician, long hours, smoking, drinking, which was the thing, you hear that and you think, Deepak? Really? This is impossible. But he talks about it, and it's in his books. But he knew that this was not a sustainable path for him, and he went to a bookstore to find a book about meditations. Like, he knew from his family heritage of India that there was something about meditation, and that's how he got started in
That's
meditation.
lovely. I've never encountered Deepak's. I've read a couple of his books, but never done his meditation or anything. So I'm very curious about that.
Yeah. It's a mantra based and a personal mantra, but I personally just really resonate with how he organizes the practice. Yeah. So when you get a chance.
If you haven't done so already, I recommend his biography. It's about he and his brother.
Yeah,
And it's
two brothers.
amazing. It's amazing.
Yeah,
And
it
how
is.
their lives kind of went in different directions, but it was amazing. I would read it again.
It is a
several
great
times.
book. Yeah, his brother is an MD also at Harvard Medical School. So they went totally different. Deepak did the Western medicine approach and then went more into mind-body wellness through the teachings of yoga. But his brother is very much highly respected MD in that path.
Traditional medicine.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, thank you for mentioning it, because my mind was thinking I should mention that.
Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah, it's one of his, his books tend to be very high level, and sometimes you read a paragraph and you're like, what did he just say? But Two Brothers is very much a personal story of his life.
And they wrote it together.
They wrote it together.
Oh, that's
yeah.
nice.
So one chapter is one brother talking about something, and the next one is
Oh, well, definitely.
For sure.
Doing that one, yeah.
Yeah,
For sure.
yeah, it's a great book.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much. I so appreciate you being here. Is there anything else that you want to tell us about? Or offer.
I should mention the sleep program.
Yes,
Yeah.
there
One
you
of
go.
the other things that I do in addition to Meditation Monday is I take all the things that I learned that worked for me to get restful sleep, because I personally find when I get good sleep, I'm more likely to be my true self. So I have some programs I have starting at a workshop, and then a 5-week program that'll start August, September-ish. I'm still working out the dates, but I don't know if you have that link.
I have the link, yes,
Yeah.
that you sent to me, and I'll post it on Facebook.
It's a free guide for 3 secrets for restful sleep. So you can download that, and by doing that, you'll get more information about what goes in it. Yeah.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
Thank
well, I'm
you.
going to pray us out, and then we'll close up. So just resting in this knowingness, this divine energy that is God, that is us, that is one heartbeat, one breath. I speak my word, knowing that this time together is good, that each received exactly what they needed to receive, heard what they needed to hear. And in this knowingness that this divine time comes to close, we are blessed. That the teachers and leaders of all faiths and all cities, countries, states everywhere are blessed with the knowledge that there is only one. And as this is who we are, we know that it is who they are. And for this, we are so grateful. And I say, thank you, God. Thank you, life. Thank you, universe. And I let it go, knowing it is done. And together we say, and so it is. Yay!
How can we support you?
Oh, thanks for asking.
I don't know, I wasn't thinking.
Well, thanks for asking. You can support us by, coming in person. We love that. You can also hit like and subscribe on our YouTube channel. You can join us in Facebook groups, Sofa Sundays, and you can also go online to donate or become a spiritual church club partner at beginwithinministries.com. You can make a one-time donation, or as a partner, it's $45 a month or $75 for a couple and family. And that helps us continue to bring you all the wonderful services. But wait, there's more. Our partners get things that we do here for free. And one of those things coming up this month is a 2-hour chanting with monks.
Monks.
With Tibetan monks. It's the Sacred Art Tour, and it will be here on July 23rd. Yes. So our partners get that for free. And so if you'd like to become a spiritual church club partner, please go to beginwithinministries.com. All right. That's all I have for this time period. Reverend Michelle Izugu will be back next week, but I will be gone. So, we'll see who our guest is then. All right. Bye.
Thanks for watching.
Just set that up.
Thanks for watching. Tune in again next week at 11:11 a.m. Pacific Time, or Monday evening at 7 p.m. Mountain Time. In partnership with New Thought Media Network.